Racism is a public health issue. It is a public health concern, period. Children in particular have been wrestling with their own identity based off of this video. We've seen reactions already where children have been questioning, well, is that me, mommy?
To the Spirit in Mind broadcast with your hosts, Bishop C. Guy Robinson and Dr. Jonathan Shepherd, where we explore faith and mental health perspectives on current affairs. Let's get into today's discussion with the Spirit in Mind.
Hello, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I am Bishop Guy Robinson, and it is a great blessing to be with you once again, and always a blessing to be here with my colleague and co-host, Dr. Jonathan Shepherd. Hello, Dr. Shepherd.
Hey, and hello, Bishop, and hello to our listening audience. So glad to be with you all once again for another episode of Spirit in Mind.
Yeah, and we're excited about today's discussion. Of course, we make it a part of our mission to discuss current affairs and to look at some faith and mental health perspectives on those affairs. And we are today not too far removed, less than a week or so away from a moment that was very upsetting for a large segment of the American population and even those watching America from beyond the world. We are within a week or so from the posting of a very controversial video from the account of the President of the United States. And we want today on Spirit in Mind to look at why, to explore why that was so upsetting to a large demographic of people, why it was upsetting theologically, why it was upsetting psychologically, why it was upsetting psychosocially. We want to look at those reasons because we think that's an important part of the discussion that needs to be lifted from theological and psychological perspectives. And so Dr. Shepherd and I are going to get into that. We encourage you to welcome your feedback and insights as we discuss this further. Dr. Shepherd?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we want you all to continue to reach out to us. So many people have reached out via our various platforms. When we get together with our team, we are so amazed at the wonderful comments. Some of the comments come to us directly or through our team members. So continue to hit us up on Spirit in Mind. You can follow us there, subscribe. We are increasing our subscribers. We're loving the fact that people are not just watching the short reels. Now, we want you to continue to do that now. I want to tamper with that, but we want you to actually subscribe. So every time something is dropped or downloaded, you can watch it right then. You can upload it to your phone. You can upload it to your devices, and you can continually receive notifications about what Spirit in Mind is doing. You can follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages, Spirit in Mind Live, or you can even email us at spiritinmindhealth@gmail.com, spiritinmindhealth@gmail.com, or Spirit in Mind Live. Those are the two handles that you can look for. And if you see our faces, you know you got the right place. So that's the way in which you know that. So our faces are there. We want to help. This platform has been transformational to so many people, including ourselves, as we continue to produce content to help our listening audience. So we want to continue to grow this audience. So hit us up. Let us know that you're enjoying the content. And Bishop, that's what I want to say at this time regarding people listening. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you know how to contact us, and you know what we're going to talk about today. We just wanted to give you a little summary of what today's presentation was about and ways to contact us as we encourage this interactive format and even the virtual dialogue that exists between us and our Spirit in Mind audience. Having said that, as we said in the intro, we want to talk about, of course, I think virtually everyone knows at this point, I would say, about this video that was posted. And because it was very upsetting. And I want to start with, it's impossible for me to talk about why that was so upsetting without talking about the reality of, first of all, a trauma-informed lens. And trauma, I guess succinctly, and Dr. Shepard, feel free to add it here, an emotional response to an injurious experience is the American Psychological Association's abbreviated definition. So I'm hurting, I'm having these emotions. And one thing we know about trauma-informed perspectives is that there's a traumatic event, but then there's a traumatic experience that continues beyond the actual egregious event. So the experience continues even after the event is over. And then subsequently there are lasting effects. So some people refer to that as the 3 E's of trauma: the event, the thing that happened, the experience, how it's being processed by those who witnessed the event, and then the lasting effects. And I lift that because this video posting goes to and heightens a history of race-induced trauma, which is trauma that is particularly, or mental and emotional injury caused by encounters with racial bias, ethnic discrimination, racism, and hate crimes. That's a succinct definition. So I say that to say we can't really talk about this without talking about how it influences that. And there's no getting around the fact that this nation has a deep-seated history in racism. And that's uncomfortable for many persons. And I'll stop here, but there's much data to show that responses to those are on polar opposites, particularly in cases, those who are on the one side, particularly when it was inflicted by one party against another. The traumatizer, if you will, tends to be more on the side of let's move on, let's get over it, let's go into the future. And on one side, you have this guy like, let's get into the future and let's not talk about it. And we're over that because the event is over and the experience is making me uncomfortable. So let's just move on. On the other side, there's not really possible to heal without revisiting that in a way that is therapeutic and that acknowledges the realities that created these sensitivities to microaggressions and hypervigilance and those kind of things. So on these polar opposites, so you can't just get over it, which is why we need trauma-informed care. So I've laid that as a foundation to say all of these experiences and all of these phenomena, if you will, are at the root of why this was so upsetting to a substantial demographic. So Dr. Shepard, please take us from there and we'll continue.
Yeah, and Bishop Robinson laid out a wonderful framework: the event, the experience, the effect. And the event is not just the singular event. That's the singular event definitely ripped the Band-Aid off, if you would. And some people would even argue with me, well, Shepard, the Band-Aid was never on. And, see this particular image of a former president face and his wife, their faces being superimposed on the body of apes was something that took me personally to a place that I don't like to go. And so just reaching out to you all and we want to make sure that even in this experience that we want you to understand that the places where you may go may not even be a physical reaction. For many people, it was a mental place, it was a mental space where people went. And we want to be able to address that today. And so that event was traumatizing. It was despicable. It was horrifying. These images, honestly, have made me feel angry. And now that's my personal view. But I also want to let people know that I work with children. As you know, I'm a child adolescent psychiatrist, board certified child adolescent psychiatrist, and adult psychiatrist. And as I talk with my colleagues after this happened, we've been now seeing where children, Black children in particular, have been wrestling with their own identity based off of this video. I mean, we've seen results, we've seen reactions already where children have been questioning, well, is that me, mommy? Do I really look like an ape daddy? So yes, it's very sobering to think about. And so we want to make sure that we here at Spirit and Mind represent what's happening in society from a psychological and spiritual standpoint. Let me just say this. Racism is a public health issue. It is a public health concern, period.
Absolutely.
That has to be stated. And when it's stated, there needs to be a pause to let that
full stop
sink in.
Absolutely.
Racism is a public health issue. And there's been many studies to showcase how racism affects those who are biased against, those who are discriminated against. It affects you physically. It affects you mentally. It affects you emotionally. It affects you financially. And Bishop will also talk about how it affects you spiritually. That all these various realms must be addressed when we're talking about racism. And so you can understand why there was such a reaction based off of it, because if we do not understand that racism is a public health concern, we will miss the boat. Working in psychiatry, and this is something that I see continually. If you look at the legacy of medicine in the United States, it was built on the backs of Black people who were marginally served. And what I mean by marginally served, there have been various issues, there have been various examples of where Black people were experimented on and in regards to the advances of healthcare, the advances of medicine, where Black people were inoculated with syphilis, where Black people's cells were used in experiments to be able to make certain inventions and make certain breakthroughs, and not being given the credit for it. I don't want to go too far, Bishop, rein that in, but I want people to understand that this thing is far reaching. And we want to make sure that you know that we stand on the side of racism is a public health concern.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those who would want more explanation on that, which is really already sufficient, but those who would want more explanation, we're talking about systems and structures and mindsets that perpetuate privilege for one group and oppression in all of what are called the determinants, the social determinants of health. The social determinants of health being economic stability, access to quality education, quality health care, which Dr. Shepherd just alluded to, neighborhood and environment and community support. These 5 determinants, which means that our wellness is not just a matter of personal responsibility. It is insidious to create social systems that perpetuate inequities, disparities, and heightened disparities to health crises and economic and resources areas, and then say it's a matter of you being personally inferior or not picking yourself up by your own bootstraps, because these social determinants of health expand what it means to maximize our potential to not just a matter of personal responsibility, but societal responsibility. And that's why these discussions on diversity, equity, inclusion, things that call out explicit and implicit bias, all those things are important, because when people have implicit biases in policy and decision-making positions, they get to implement policies and procedures that negatively affect the social determinants of health, which includes mental health and physical health and spiritual health. And so that's why, because even holiness is not to be fully understood as a personal conviction, but there is also a such thing as social holiness. Social holiness is justice, equity, beloved community. And so even holiness has societal perspectives, such as why the Bible says theologically, when Adam fell, all creation was subjected to futility, and all creation travails for the manifestation of the children of God, because personal decisions have societal consequences. And so societal inequities and societal iniquities look like inequities. It looks like injustice. It looks like oppression. And so you can't be personally pious and righteous while you perpetuate policies and practices. Moreover, there is a distinction between being conservative and being Christian. And sometimes we merge those two together. And not every conservative is Christian. and so it's over, and not every liberal. And so it's important that we distinguish those things when we're talking about this. So that's why all of these things are important in this discussion, because let's be clear, there has been a history, and you can't undo that, and you can't disconnect from the psychodynamic and psycho-spiritual significance of the fact that American history has this racist practice. And so that's why the trauma, and it's still there. Still there. It makes us uncomfortable to discuss, but suppressing it, repressing it does not do away with it. It keeps coming up. And so that's why I think we have to be vigilant against it. That's why we have to acknowledge it. And that can't be legislated away. Just because we signed a paper doesn't mean that our minds and our collective psyche and our culture has fully caught up with our professed or legislated ideals. And so all of that has to be taken into consideration.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for a new episode of Spirit in Mind.